The entitlement with these Survivor players is something else. They have been handed everything in this game so far. From the first HOH, two powers, to two doormats in the house that will do anything to get the vets further, and yet they still find ways to be absolutely miserable, poor sports. What up, everybody? Back to talk some Big Brother 28, where I feel as though, this cast was put together to just be as irritating and as unwatchable as possible. The Alison Grodner special, to say the least, one of the worst producers not named Jeff Probst out there. As for the live feeds, yesterday we had Haley over here, Devens, D, Barrett, Drew all talking when they thought she was sleeping, which was her confirmation that Drew and Barrett are indeed working with the icons, which she should have already known. But that was her only game yesterday. Let's go around and tell people that Drew and Barrett truly are working with the icons. At least she did something. Did she really fight to stay this week, though? I would say not. The big thing to happen yesterday is that Drew told Devens about Mallory and Melody being unsure of their votes, which made Devens mad. Also made him paranoid about Drew. What else is new? It made him paranoid, though, because Barrett is saying that he doesn't see that with Mallory and Melody this week. But Devens was super upset with Drew saying that the two, Melody and Mallory, will have a hard time putting up Yash, Lala, Taylor next week. This makes Devens pissed because we're supposed to be an alliance now. How would they turn on the mosh pit, the armpit, so soon? How could they do that? Gee, I don't know. Maybe because you just made an alliance with them this week and they're clearly on the bottom. But Devens took this as Drew telling him as a way to soften the blow this week or the coming week. Devens was paranoid and he decided to be a straight up asshole all afternoon, throwing bitch fits. And I think this was actually Devens projecting. I think this was Devens trying to harden the blow for the game he wants to play going forward, because he's feeling like his back is against the wall, but it's his own doing with his stupid ass move this week. And I also got to say, the entitlement with these Survivor players is something else. They have been handed everything in this game so far. From the first HOH, two powers, to two doormats in the house that will do anything to get the vets further. And yet they still find ways to be absolutely miserable, poor sports. So Devens went and tried to dog out Drew to his face. And of course, weak bitch, no backbone Drew takes it, saying things like, I'm with you. I know you don't believe me, but I'm with you. Drew's telling Devens he tells him this every day, that he's with Devens. But Devens was acting like a fucking idiot. And the truth is that Devens was being rude yesterday because he knows his move was stupid for his own game. And now he's wanting to take it out on others, when in reality, he is a dumb two-time Survivor loser and is proving why this week. It's almost like I said this would happen. If he uses the Diamond Power of Veto on D, he's about to piss off people and make his own target bigger for D. And oh, that's exactly what happened. So any loser out there that was trying to call this a good move from Devens doesn't know shit, or they're just trying to kiss Survivor ass. Because Devens himself was doing so much projecting because he's upset with himself, but he wants to take it out on others. You know who he won't take it out on, though? D. Who he should, because that's who he hurt his game now. He made his own game harder for D. Drew told Devens to his face that he knows that the vets feel better about Barrett than Drew, but Devens was at that point trying to calm Drew down. Devens is saying that no one is in a better spot than Mallory and Melody right now. If they don't want to pick a side, then don't win. Devens then went on this whole rant about how Mallory have 0% chance of winning the game, complaining about Taylor being in bed all day, which of course had Drew jump onto hating on Taylor, because that's one thing he does the most in this house. Drew talking about how, agreeing with Devens and talking about how Taylor sits up in her bed, doesn't play the game. But here's the thing that pissed me off about Drew. And maybe this should be our Karen watch for the day, because the Karen in training, Drew, is the one to shit on. Drew is saying all these different things about Taylor in this conversation with Devens. She doesn't play the game. That she says she just wants to make jury, which is a lie. That she actually does just want jury to avoid going back to work. That she must have won a fan lottery to be able to be on this season. And yet this is the same Drew that compares her to Danielle Reyes and agrees with Angela that she's like Chelsea. Well, how can those two things be true? Unless Drew is being ignorant at best by just comparing Taylor to past black women that she has nothing in common with, or racist at worst. If Drew is saying that Taylor's not playing the game, but also comparing her to Danielle Reyes and Chelsea, who won the game, then Drew is being racist in those comparisons, just trying to compare her to past black players because she's also black. Drew also went on this rant later that he wouldn't be happy if jury started this week because he doesn't want Taylor or Lala in jury. Drew talking, I do want to make sure that Lala is gone. I'm scared the closer we get to the end, the more she just slips through, along with Taylor, because they're the same. How exactly are Taylor and Lala the same other than being black? This is Drew again with another statement comparing black women that have nothing in common. It's almost as though he talks about them as if they're not actual people because he doesn't see them that way. And it's similar to how Dee and Angela talk about them too. Taylor and Lala in this game are talked about as if they're not human, as if they don't have their own opinions. They have so many people in this game that truly don't try and get to know them. And it's why I will be staying on next after this season is over. I don't care if Rob has a podcast, it's up Survivor players' asses. I don't care if they're up Drew's ass because they don't know how to actually analyze the game. If they're calling Devens this week playing a good game, get the fuck out of here. Just idiotic ass kissing. But Drew's doing all this, looking like a racist, to please Devens. Because that's all this whole thing was to agree with Devens and please Devens because he's just a fucking doormat. So after all of this, Devens is saying, I think it's best that they stay together. Devens telling Drew that he does have him no matter what. This is after Devens was trying to dog out Drew to his face, and Drew, being the doormat that he is, taking it. Yash and Taylor also clocked Dee's behavior yet again, which is why Dee is a part of the Karen Watch. Yash talking about how Dee is literally just here in the house. She doesn't care about no relationship building. She probably doesn't know anything about any of us. Taylor talking about how Dee pissed her off in the way that Dee tried to exile her this week, saying that we live together. Why are you being weird? So Taylor and Yash clocking that Dee wants nothing to do with them, not even trying to build a relationship. Where is the jury management? I don't know. I think this is, this is an example of the Survivor entitlement. Devens and Dee just think they deserve things in this game. And I think it doesn't help that they feel this way because production has given them so many things in this stupid-ass game this season. I also love that Yash called out Barrett and Drew for being the vet glazers, saying that if the vets were not icons, that Drew and Barrett would not be all over them. I do think that plays a part in why Barrett and Drew are such vet doormat bitches, because they think it's going to make them popular too, that they are good friends with these supposed icons. Little do they know that casuals stop giving a shit about this show by the end of October. Taylor tried to talk with Mallory about how they've all been giving the vets what they want this season. The vets wanted Rome gone, then Jason, now Kamu. Taylor trying to tell Mallory that they have to stop giving the vets what they want, which I think gets through to Mallory. I think of the two, Mallory and Melody, I think that Mallory has more game sense, at least. A great example of Devens fucking up this week and why he's throwing fits is that Mallory is talking about how anyone should put up Devens, that he should be the number one target. Yash agreeing. Yeah, Devens put this big old fat target on his back. Look at Devens' move this week. Made him a bigger target. He is the icon target now, like I said would happen. And as you all know, I don't watch the episodes, but judging by social media reactions, no one even liked his move last night. They called it corny, because Devens is corny. So he's not even making the good TV he thinks he made, because most of social media, and I'm talking all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Devens and Dee getting a lot of hate for their performances and it just being stupid and cheesy and a lame diamond of veto move. Also, the diamond veto looked like it was from the dollar store. Like, I saw a picture of it. It looks like a second grade art class made it, which just about sums up how these seasons are put together from production. I think second graders could do a better job producing. I will say that Mallory doesn't want to vote out Angela this week because she thinks that she could beat Angela in competitions. So unfortunately, Mallory and Mallory are not coming to the conclusion here to not get out Angela no matter what, even though that is a move against the icons. If you're finally seeing the icons for the way they've been playing, you know what would help? Voting one of them out. Dee told Devens that Barrett told her that the person was Drew. Drew was the one who stood up and said, out of the icons, Devens is the scariest in conversations with Mallory. This is an example of how Drew and Barrett are not playing to win. They are playing to see who can be the biggest bitch for the vets. And Barrett is always going to spill information to Dee. And he will get ahead of it on Drew to do that for sure. Devens told Dee that the second they put one of us up as a pawn or don't go through with this vote, Devens wants to air everything out. Devens also talking about threatening jury votes as soon as he is nominated, which by the way would be Devens' first time nominated, but he wouldn't have to do all of this threatening if he just played a better game this week. But he didn't, and now he wants to take it out on everyone else, like I said. Angela was worried that things were changing because Devens was upset and Dee had to talk to her about how there is something going on, that Drew is shady, but it has nothing to do with Angela. She will tell Angela after the vote, so Angela doesn't do anything this week. Mallory was talking about how they have to, this is with Melody, how they have to consider that the Mosh Pit Alliance was formed to make sure they get Kamu out, which was a good clock by Mallory. Melody's talking about how she would feel like shit if they put up Yash and Taylor during an HOH, how they shouldn't have reason to protect bad competitors like Dee and Angela, who can't win anything, but they got to keep this from Drew and Barrett. But Mallory and Melody did talk to Drew about possibly keeping Kamu this week. Obviously, Drew's not going to go for that. Devens had a camera talking about if Kamu is vulnerable this week and left on the block, he is going home. If Kamu wins, Haley is going home. If it doesn't go that way, then Devens knows the mosh pit is not real, and that means Mallory and Melody go rogue. So if Drew and Barrett claim that they don't know what's up, he's not going to believe them. He has nothing if this doesn't go according to plan except for Dee and Angela. Well, yeah, Devens, that's because that's how you played this week with your diamond veto. Devens talking about the second any of that happens, he's going to invite everyone to a house meeting and air everything out. He's going to bury Drew. He's going to bury Barrett. He's going to pledge his allegiance to Kamu and Yash. I want to see that happen. I need to see Drew and Barrett buried. So I would love for the vote to not go the vet's way tonight. But can we have good things this season? No. So don't get your hopes up. Yash and Taylor want to explain to Melody and Mallory that they need to be honest about if they're going to keep Kamu or not. So they did try to convince the two of them, Eminem, to keep Kamu this week, which did work. And Mallory later told Melody that they don't need Barrett and Drew's vote to do this week, because they don't. They do need Haley's, though. And I don't really know where Haley is voting this week. So the thing is, if Melody and Mallory want to keep Kamu, they need to have a conversation with Haley, which they have talked about doing. They have talked about going behind Drew and Barrett's backs because Drew clearly doesn't want to keep Kamu. They tried to talk with him last night. He doesn't want to. But if Haley decides that she's going to vote out Angela over Kamu, then Melody and Mallory might just jump on board. They are talking about doing so, but I'm not completely convinced yet because it's really still the same old Melody to me. Threatening that she will hate Drew or not be his friend if he's working with Devens and not telling her. So we again have to wait and see if Mallory and Melody finally actually play the game. Halfway through the season, will they actually make a move to play the game? That's what we have to see. all in all, even if these newbies do make a play to keep Kamu, and if Kamu stays, Drew might just win the next power, and he's going to have a power to help the icons, which is rinse and repeat, because the only reason the icons are safe right now, and I hate that I'm calling them that in this episode, the only reason that the not icons, aka the vets, are safe this round is because of powers. And it might be the only way they're able to be safe next week because of powers. Again, it points to producers overproducing this season. Plus, next week, we have that big twist. Do you think that might help the icons too? I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. But that's exactly what it looks like. I have been right about pretty much all my predictions this season so far, though, with this overproduced shitty season. So we'll see. We'll see. Will we have a flip tonight? Will the vets actually be blindsided for the first time? One can hope, but we shouldn't get our hopes up with this terrible cast and this terrible season.